All right. Purdy versus
that
Dak.
hurt. I can tell that hurt. That hurt.
Purdy versus Dak.
All right,
I think this is becoming a conversation a little bit here, boss. I think that Dak certainly has proven it for longer, right? You can only play the games that you can play. And Purdy has not been in the league as long. Dak, very similar, these guys, in the sense that Dak started off very, very hot in his career. And then he had kind of like a little bit of this, and then now, back up, a little bit of inconsistencies. And maybe Purdy eventually goes through some of those inconsistencies as well. But right now, Purdy is playing about as flawless as you can. He has 1 turnover on the season. It was a fumble, no interceptions. He's throwing for more yards than I think most people expected him. He's already eclipsed 1,000 in 4 games. Completion percentage through the roof. And he's doing what you're saying Dak should do. And when Dak does do, you guys win, which is just strictly managing the game to an elite level. You don't turn the ball over. You keep the offense on the field. You win on 3rd downs. You stay ahead of the chains. That's what a Purdy-led offense has been able to do. Yes, he has great weapons around him. Phenomenal weapons. But that can't take away from what he has done, which is played very, very good football up to this point. I hesitate to say that I would take Purdy for sure over Dak because it's a smaller sample size. But one thing that I will say is, and I feel confident in this, in this moment, feel more confident that Purdy will show up in a big moment than I do with Dak.
I guess you got to define big moment, right? Because see, like the same dilemma that some people have been saying, like, what's going to happen to Dak's psyche if he loses to San Fran? Well, how many times did we lose to Brady?
Good point. That stat was out there.
That was out there, and it was worse than San Fran. We didn't win against Brady. We lost consistently against Brady. Was that not a big moment?
That was a big moment.
That was a big moment. Okay, so in that big moment, in playoff week 1, the person who had the best efficiency and Purdy too was playing was Dak. In that big moment, nobody had a better passing rate, and nobody but Dak in that big moment. So I'm not gonna fight you though, because if you have faith in Purdy in big moments, he gave you reason to. Because like I said, it's very hard to play with the pressure he was under. People act like it's a big deal to go from Mr. Irrelevant to the quarterback of a historic franchise like the Niners with a top 5 guy breathing down your neck. That is not easy, bro. Like that same mental pressure broke down Montana and Steve Young. I know y'all history on that. When they had the quarterback controversy between them 2 great Hall of Famers, neither one of them played well. What does that tell you about the psyche of Purdy and the psyche of Dak to play well despite QB controversy? So I feel like, to be all the way honest, both quarterbacks have what it takes. I'm going to put on the table right now and say I've seen enough in Purdy to declare him a top franchise quarterback. I'm not saying he the best, but when I say franchise, I'm saying I'm stepping him as somebody that I would say is enough to win it all. And then I'm putting that same stamp right besides Dak, and I'm saying y'all got to battle it out. But like in terms of those two, if you already, because see, the last time we talked, you had Dak above him, but you now putting Purdy above him. I'm not mad at that because I feel like Purdy is growing. I've also just broke down his games, and I see the growth. I see the confidence. He's still managing games on an elite level. But I would say this as a warning. I don't think he's definitely been through the testing of Dak at all. See, because Dak and Purdy never had his weapons taken. Dak has multiple times. We tried receiver by committee on him twice. And even last year, people discount the fact that outside of CeeDee Lamb, he had literally the worst separation out of all receivers in the entire NFL, but still led the Dallas Cowboys to the #1 offense when he came back from injury. So Purdy hasn't been through any tests like that. Everything has always been, for the most part, perfectly situated for him. So what would happen if Ayuk goes down? What would happen if Debo goes down and Kittle? What would happen to him? Like, what would happen if he lose Christian McCaffrey? And now you got to go run this offense. See, we don't know that Purdy yet. We just know Purdy basically sitting in roses and everything smelling good and fresh off the bat. What's going to happen when it get real muddy in life for you, son? We haven't seen that yet. So because he's untested, I'm not yet going to even put him on the level of Dak. But I will say that he's trending in the right direction. And if anybody say opposite, you hate him.
Well, I'll say this: very short stints, and his career is a short stint. But he has played a game without Ayuk. They still put up 30. They still won. That was this year. Yeah, Ayuk missed. Not against a great team. It was the Giants, right? So I get it, but he still did his thing. Whatever. But he did struggle early in that game. It took him a little bit to get going. Once he got going, he was on point. He has played a few games without Debo last year. Actually, in the Miami game was his first game. Debo actually was out for a few weeks after that, and then he did his thing. CMC is the catalyst.
Yeah,
like that's the one. CMC. So I get that, and that's why I said I hesitate to say that Purdy, like just overall, it's hard for me to take Purdy and say, hey, your 12 games overrides 7 great seasons from this quarterback or 7 good seasons from this quarterback. Even a guy like Kirk Cousins, a lot of people crap on Kirk Cousins. Like, he's put together 8 pretty damn good seasons. You actually watch him play, you look at some of those numbers, he's put together some good seasons, right? So it's hard for me to say that less than 1 season overrides all of that. So what the way I've been trying to talk about Purdy, because I don't know what the future holds, I'm trying to live in the moment with Brock Purdy, and I'm trying to almost go week to week with him. What does the power rankings look like? And right now in a power ranking situation, because the career is so short, that's the only way that I can really view this thing fairly, I believe. And in a power ranking situation, he is playing as good as anybody in this moment. As good as anybody, So that's the way that I have to play it with Purdy. So in this moment right now, there's not many guys that you can say you would take over him in this moment with this team, the way everything's going. If I'm starting a franchise and knowing that I've seen some of these other quarterbacks go through not having their weapons, not having this, all the questions being answered, that changes things a little bit. But in this moment with this team versus Dak and what he's got around him and all the things going into this, I have to go with Purdy right now. I just do.